like. You can't see it because it kind of disappears with the virtual background, but it blocks my face. Here we go.
I like it. Oh, I'm excited to get to talk to you.
Same.
See you in
Been
a
a while. I
minute.
think the last time I saw you, we were in Italy.
Yeah. Oh no,
Or
Portuguese first.
Yeah, after that. That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Forgot.
We had a lot of fun in Italy though.
Yes, for sure.
So welcome.
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Yep. Sorry, I was making sure that everything is right for going live on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
So
awesome.
For everyone, we are currently going live on YouTube, and welcome. So I'll go ahead and I'll start off. Today we are talking to Tammy Zurak. Please, you know what? Instead of introducing, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, Tammy.
Oh.
Putting you right on the spot, right?
Like your elevator pitch of maybe your like being a mentor, what your superpowers are, maybe, so people know what kind of questions to ask.
Sure. So on the spot here.
On the hook.
So I was one of the original mentors in Sue's group. So 10 years in, which is exciting. I was corporate for 26 years in sales and sales management prior to starting my business. Found Sue, learned from Sue, became one of the mentors, and got my business up and running, left my corporate job, and been sailing on ever since. My superpowers are, I would say, sales for sure. I built my business. Sue taught a class. If you watch I can't think if it must have been the marketing intensive, where she says you're kind of two sides of the coin.
Yep.
And I am the outward coin. I never sat behind the computer and waited. I got out and met people. So I built my business through networking. And I would say, now, well, even back then, people were coming to me for maybe they knew the photography part, but they really weren't getting the how do you grow your business part. So pretty much most of my mentees rather have come to me because they needed a structure, a framework, how do I do this, track to run on kind of thing. So that's kind of where I shine.
That's amazing. Yes, I have gotten to spend a lot of time with Tammy, and she's just a wonderful person and a great mentor, very knowledgeable. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure everybody's muted. And then if you have a question, you can either drop it in the chat or you can raise your hand in the Zoom. What's that, like the app or the program? Raise your hand and we can call on you. We will do our best to get to all of the questions. Sometimes the chat rolls really fast. So if it's been a while and you notice somebody's question came in after yours and we asked it, then just ask it again. So yes. Oh, I love the stuff in the background that you have there. Politician, realtor, pharmacist. Angie said,
I think she was talking about your pictures, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, well, I'm looking at yours. Yes,
yeah.
This is a picture of me. I actually just ordered a 45 by 60 medal of one that Kat took of me.
With the wings.
Yeah. So it's going to go right up here.
So awesome.
Okay. Yes, Kevin.
I was going to say, before we jump into everything, I want to be sure that people actually understand exactly what this is. This is what we're calling the mentor talks. It is the mentors of the portrait system, where Angie and I bring them on for our accountability group, which is a subgroup of the portrait system Facebook group, where we get to members come in, they let us know about their what their goals are for the year, and then we try to break it down into quarters, because obviously quarters makes it more bite-sized pieces to that larger goal, making it easier to complete your task for the year. Everyone creates things like New Year's resolutions. They make this big grandiose plans, and they never get to it. So we are going ahead and breaking that down and then asking people what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then we will talk about it. We will have these Zoom sessions on Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, at Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, where we will then discuss anything between people having blocks. We talk about successes. We get an opportunity to learn about each other. And we also have mentors come on and talk about, their stories and their skill sets and how they can help answer questions for anything that any of the members have from the portrait system community. So and that's basically what this one is we're talking to Tammy Zarek today.
Yes.
So let's continue with that.
Did you see Manaz's question there, Kevin?
I did not. So Manaz in our chat, also right off the bat, I work full time and I don't have time to go to marketing, networking most of the time. But do go to the Chamber
of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, but I never get clients from there. Any suggestions?
Sure. So I'll just answer it if this was my circumstance, if I was working full time, and I'm just reading the question again, and I didn't have time to go to marketing, networking, but I go to chamber events, what would I do? So for me, and somebody, Mira answered, social media ads might be for you. That's certainly one avenue to travel. But what I found for me is that face-to-face, because people are bombarded online with ads, right? So, and it's hard we do our best to communicate what we do via social media, but when you're talking to somebody face to face, it's a different conversation. And when you can show them something in front of them and say, answer their questions, what their comments are going to be, which is, I'm not photogenic, and all the things, right?
10 pounds.
Yeah. Literally every excuse under the sun is going to come up, and you can answer. That's great. Cause I work with everyone I've ever worked with said those things. And that's what becomes your specialty. Well, first of all, you can look and see some things happen at night. So you can look at meetups, you can, whatever, all the things, you can try to hit the ones that are at night. But you can also, if you're not, part of that question was, I'm not getting anything from the ones I go to. So what I did was two things. When I meet somebody at a networking event, I ask them, who did they come there to meet? And they look at me like,
question.
Yeah. They're like, what? And I'm like, well, you came to a networking event. Who were you here to meet? Because we all go there with the intention to meet our client, right? Or someone that's going to help us get to more of our clients. So, and I'm a master networker. I'm a connector. I love connecting people. And what happens when you connect somebody to someone they want, they become indebted to you as well, because they feel grateful that you've satisfied what they were trying to do. So they'll say, I'm looking to meet real estate agents. I'm like, oh, I know real estate agents, right? Real estate agents are my number one client. So I can connect them to a whole bunch of people. I said, I'll ask them, if there's any in the room, I will take them right to that person and say, even if I don't know them, I'll say, hey, whatever, because I just met them as a real estate agent. I'll say, this person is looking to connect with you, and I'll introduce them directly so they get a conversation going. But if you don't have anyone in the room, then you can get their information and say, hey, let's get together on Zoom and let's have a chat so I can find out a little bit more about you and see how we can help each other. And then you can connect them to that person or anyone else that that might be a good fit for them, and they become part of your support system. The other thing, and I forgot what I was going to say. What was it? I had a good thing and I can't think of what it is. Anyway, well, I'll come back to it later when I think of it. But
I have a follow-up question to that, because Kevin and I just got back yesterday from Arizona, and we were there for the monthly live. And he and I were at lunch one day and we were talking about networking and the ways that I follow up. So after you go to because networking is one of my superpowers. That's one of the things that I feel like I'm really good at. And I would love to hear what your process of follow-up is after you go to a networking group. So you've gone and you've met the people and you have their cards, you get home. I would love to hear what you do to follow up, because he mentioned that nobody at the meeting he went to followed up with him.
Yes. Yeah. So I get, if they have cards, I get them. That's a number one. And why do we want to get cards? Besides the obvious.
You want to see if they have an image on it.
Yes. Yes. And
Mhm.
also, because if we ask for their card, what is also likely to happen?
They're going to ask for ours.
They're going to ask for our card. And I can tell you, here's the front side of my card, and the back side of my card has all the information. So what is on my card?
Your face.
Of course, right? And so I can't tell you over the years how many people came up to me. Yes, ma'am. I can come up to me at a event that they met me at a previous event, and they'll look at me and they're like, "You're the photographer, right?" And they don't remember my name, which is completely fine, but they know what I do, and that I'm, in the room because we met before, and I clearly made at least enough of an impression. And my husband tells me I can never cut my hair because people recognize me by my hair.
Why is the same with the blue hair? Sue said I could
Right?
never have anything but blue hair.
Exactly, because it's part of your brand. So,
Yes.
but yeah, for sure, if you get their card, and then if you can reach out, that's the reaching out part. So I will email people that I want to get to know and say, "Hey, it was great to meet you. And, can we grab a quick coffee or do a Zoom meeting?" And again, and my language is always, "How can I help you?" It is never, we've all been on the other side of that conversation where, "Here's my thing and let me sell you my thing," and nothing against the MLM people, but they're all about selling their thing, and they're not in the least bit involved with you and don't care. And that is so stinky, as Sue would say. You
Yes.
feel icky after you leave because they didn't care a lick that you were there. They only cared about themselves. So, I will go out of my way to turn it around and make it about them. And the thing I couldn't remember, and I wrote it down so I won't forget again, is find the outliers when you're in a networking event.
Great
Is
advice.
the outliers are terrified to be in the room, barely got out of their car to make it. And some of you on this call might be the outlier, don't want to be there. And, it's like, we're getting all the energy together in the car just to get out to walk into the place. But those are the people that need you the most. Is go to them and talk to them. And I will make a point to say, "I see you hiding over here in the corner, so that's why I'm here." And then I walk them around and make them meet people. So, they just need one friend, or if they're super, very like, then I'll just talk to them. So, and until I can recruit someone else to come over here and, and put them with one person so they don't feel so overwhelmed. But they also remember that. And if you can make the outlier feel good, guess what? They're going to be your client, because they also are the one that doesn't like to have their picture taken and doesn't feel good and all the things that we look for that are our perfect client. So I don't know if that's enough I forgot who asked the question.
It was me. Yeah. Just saying how you follow up with
but the original question of.
For Manaz. Yeah. Manaz,
Yes,
drop in chat, or you can unmute if you'd like to say something, Manaz, if you have more specific, but I feel like that was a great answer. As I'm really into networking, and what I do is, our networking group meets twice a week, and there are people that we know that we ping pong off of each other. So we'll say, "Hey, the lady in the red shirt, go grab her." And then we'll take them and pass them off to make sure that they're meeting people. And we're all people that understand how to integrate them without coming on full on.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing you can do that just occurred to me, which is why I want to read, I knew there was one more thing, is your clients clearly are a source. So if you have clients, if you're not at the very beginning of starting up, any client that you have, you can ask them to help connect you. So, you can ask them if they ever do if you can't meet during the day, do they ever have after hours things? Real estate agents, because I specialize in branding, are my main target. So they meet a lot and they like to party. So, you just ask, "What's the next thing you're having that's after 5:00? And can I come as your guest?" Or whatever that looks like. But if you need to exchange something with them to get into their network, then it is generally very fruitful.
I love that.
I've never heard the idea of, "Can I come as your guest?"
I do that all the time. Yeah.
That's very cool. To
Yeah,
be
I
able
went
to
to a
get
realtor
yourself.
event a few weeks ago that was hosted by a home inspection company who I had just done branding for.
Mhm.
And she asked me while we were shooting, who's your ideal client? And I said, realtors. And she said, same, let's get together. So she had an ice cream and coffee event and invited me. And then I was able to network with her. Yeah, there's all sorts of
Yeah,
Manaz,
everyone.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay. All the sales, anything that's sales focused typically are going to be better networked, but especially real estate agents. So, if you, all you got to find is, and it can be any profession, but you'll know. And at the end of every session, I ask people, who do you need to meet? While I'm wrapping up their stuff, helping them put things away, I always ask the question, who do you need to meet? And they look at me funny, like, what? And I'll say, like, you're a real estate agent. Do you have a great roofer? You have a great painter? You have a great whatever that's fits for what their business is. And they're like, oh, actually, I'm looking for a so-and-so. And so now I've done two things is I've helped my client find someone they need, but I'm also in BNI. So I've helped my referral partners find someone that they want to talk to. So, but that you become the connector. So anytime anybody needs somebody, something, some service, some whatever connection, they call you, and that's what you want.
Exactly. I have people, like my cousin will be like, hey, is there anyone in your group that does like plumbing, or is there anyone in your, because they all know that I have a big network. So
Yes.
that's super key. Tammy, I agree. Manaz did have a follow-up question. She said, do you offer any special or tell them about headshot day? She was wondering what's the original question.
I have never discounted in 10 years. So to answer that question, no. Maybe once. I can't think, but I definitely don't discount. I don't look to do, I want everybody, no, I don't ever want someone to feel bad because this one came for a certain price that I didn't get. Price increases are different, but if I'm running a special, then this week's client pays this much and a special client next week pays that much. And these two people may know each other. So I never want that circumstance to happen, nor do I feel like I need to. It's just a value thing for me is if anything, I want to charge more, not less.
I love that.
At whatever the price I was charging, that's the price, because that at the time that was the price I felt I was worth, and that has crept up over the years. And I started high back in the early days. Sue's pricing was 1,200
12, 18, 24, right?
no, because I started out, my top package was $3,000, so it must have been 1,200 18 or 1,900 and $3,000 or something like that. I started at that 10 years ago. So those of you that are struggling with pricing, that was 10 years ago. And the reason I set my prices at that 10 years ago was Sue mentioned on her beginning classes that she was charging that 20 some years ago. And I was like, well, which is now 30 some years ago.
Yeah, she's like 34 years in or something.
Yeah. So I'm like, if she could charge that 20 some years ago, I could probably charge that now, which was 10 years ago. So yeah.
I love that. I did see another question in the chat. Sorry, Kevin. Did you want to?
I was going to say we have a hand up.
Okay.
I figured I would go to Meta first.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Sorry, I'm not camera ready today.
No worries.
You're fine.
We were talking about following up with people, and I was wondering because I noticed certain trends in the last year that people want you to follow them on Instagram. It's like, follow me on Instagram. And you follow them, and then they don't follow you back. And in some cases, they don't have their names or information. So I can find you then on LinkedIn or Facebook or other places and connect with you on a more personal level, or write to you. Because if I met Angie at a networking event, I follow Harmony Photography, and then I don't remember that her name was Angie, or she gave me a card for Harmony Photography and there's no name on the card. I have several cards on my desk from people that I met last year, and they don't have a name or a photo. And it's like, how do you bridge that gap?
So I'll answer that just because I happened to grab that very circumstance right here, right? So I went to, I went to a farmer's market and I was looking, this is, it's for a Blackberry Pond Farm. So I'm trying to think what I bought from them. It says farm to table. I think I bought produce, but I was looking to invite them to my networking meeting. So because I bought something from them, I grabbed a card, and there is not a name on here. It's just the name of the farm. So I went to their website and I looked up their information. You can, let's face it, we're stalkers today. It's easy to stalk people.
Yeah.
I went and found, and I did invite this person to my networking meeting. I looked at their website, and I can't remember if it was on their social or on their website. It's probably on their website, is about us or meet us. And if you can't find it there, generally it's on their social somewhere. If they have enough to, like, this one has a
QR
what do you
code.
call 'em? A QR code. If they know enough to put a QR code on there, they probably know enough to do social media. So generally you'll have to dig a minute to find it, or obviously just ask at the, hey, my name is, and what's yours? And then write it on there if you can, so you remember later. But yeah, you have to stalk a little bit these days, I think.
That's absolutely true. I have a stack from my meeting a couple weeks ago, and 2 of the 4 don't. Well, this one has a name, but I don't know what Collab does. I don't know what they do. This one is a photo booth, and there's no name. There's just a phone number. But
It's been happening to me. Sometimes there's not even a website.
So maybe
They
you can
just
give them
say
tricks of love
Instagram?
when they hand it to you. Like, do you know what I would love to see on here, Tammy? Your name or a
Yeah.
picture. That'd be great.
Like mine. So I was going to say the same thing is, hey, I specialize in branding, and I was thinking your name would be great for on here, and even better, your picture.
I did,
Well, thank
sorry,
you.
go ahead.
So I was gonna say, talking about brand, we were talking about how your hair is part of your brand. Angie, obviously, you've been told that you can't ever change your hair color from being blue.
I'm okay with that, by the way.
So Adrian asked, how is your look part of your brand?
I think it depends on the person, right? It's whatever. I mean, I don't think everyone has to have their look necessarily be their brand, but I personally, sorry, my nose is running. If you have an affinity towards certain things, then you can make that part of your brand. I just happen to be a child of the 80s and have big hair. So that was part of it, just sort of naturally came as part of my brand, is people remember, and I'm tall, so I tend to stand out because I'm tall with big hair. So I use what God gave you, and make it bigger if you want to.
That's right.
But I also dress a certain way, and I know I've seen 1,000 threads over the years of what do you wear to a shoot, and what do you wear to a networking event, and what do you wear for this and that and the other. And because we as women tend to care about that kind of thing. And I tend to dress up because that's me. That's just my style. I like to, because when you're corporate, you dress for the look, you dress for the next position you want to have. It's just when you're
Dress for the job you want.
Yeah, when you're interviewing, you're always dressing to the level up. So I also grew up with a very fancy set of parents who were very, like, I wasn't allowed to wear jeans in high school, if it tells you anything. So I kind of just kind of grew up with, you look nice. So I would feel uncomfortable if I wasn't, when I'm trying. I just feel more confident when I'm going to walk into a room and I'm in whatever makes me comfortable. Right. So I think that starts to be, you could be, I worked with a guy recently who, like, he wore jackets like that had a pattern on them, and so he was known for the pattern. And guys have a harder time because their wardrobe is not as vast and varied as what women are.
Thank
right
you. Thank you.
But I also worked with a guy who wore vests, and that was his thing. So he had a vest on every day, different vests, different, and it became part of his style. So you can, or maybe it's a hat, whatever it is, you could be, any number of things that become you. I have a client who is all about the shoes. So, we got the Manolo Blahniks in the shots. So whatever. And she told me she wears her high heel shoes at home all the time. Like, yes, this is
on purpose.
Yes.
purpose.
Yes. Like she's really, that's her brand. She was not kidding.
Wow. I don't wear a heel unless I'm sitting down. I don't walk.
Right. I'm like, that's
break
commitment,
an
dude.
ankle.
But yeah, so it doesn't have to be, but it can be if you like that kind of thing. Like this lady who's in my background, she's a pharmacist, but she's very fashion trendy kind of. And she, like, I don't normally recommend people wear patterns for their shots, but this lady, like her whole wardrobe was very that way. I'm like, we're going to embrace it. So
it's funny because when you logged in and I saw that image of the pharmacist, I was like, that is a pharmacy I would go to, which is
Right?
exactly what she was aiming for. I was like, holy cow, pharmacists can look like that. Like,
Yeah.
So
yeah, she was
yeah.
featured in a pharmacy magazine just because she's so different and unique. And she's actually she was corporate pharmacist too. So
Wow.
yeah, so she was like all about, having her own thing, and that's what she got recognized for.
I love that.
So we do have a hand up, and it is Kay. Kay, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hello. So this might be actually related to the first question that we went over, bringing the value, focusing on other people's problem solving. But when you're at a networking event, like I found myself a little bit struggling. When is the right time for me to bring that up or point that out? Or because obviously I don't want to sound salesy, but like I guess is that something that I need to overcome, or because at the end our goal is to find a client and connect with people, and hopefully they'll become my client.
Can I
And
clarify what you mean? What do you mean by point that out? Point what out?
Yeah.
Like on the business card, it'll be nice to have your pictures there, or do you need an update on your headshot, or like just pointing out their potential problems.
That you're a photographer and that you're wanting to do their imagery.
Right.
When do you point that out?
You don't.
Like, I don't. Okay.
You don't. That can come later at the consultation. But so to go back to where that started, if I'm at a farmer's market and there's no picture and the person is bubbly and, whatever, I will say something to them then, because I'm not in a position, neither of us are in a position where we're working, so to speak. We're at networking event, you're working. Let's just be fair. We're there to work. We're not there. Well, some people are there to drink, but most of us are there to work. So we're trying to find business. This, when I met her, was not that circumstance. So if I'm looking at somebody and they have a unique style, like if I looked at Angie and her picture wasn't on her thing and I just met her randomly, I'll be like, you need to put your picture on your card because like, look at you. But if I was at a networking event, I'm going to make it anything, anywhere where you meet somebody, the more you can make it about them, the better off it is for you. The more interested you are in them and helping them, if they're the right person, it will come back to you. Because that's why I always ask the question, who'd you come to meet? And they'll be like, oh, that's a great question. Well, I really want to meet so-and-so and so-and-so. And if they're the right person, they're going to ask you back, right? Oh, well, what do you do? Because the first thing I ask is, what do they do? And then the second question is, well, who are you hoping to meet? And then if they're a nice person, they're going to ask back. If they're not a nice person, they're not going to ask back. And you can tell that you probably don't need them as a client. Anyway, it's a great way to eliminate all the bad people,
Right.
All the troublemakers, because they don't care a lick about your business, your process, your anything, and they're going to be trouble. It's a really good way to eliminate those from the beginning. But the more you can make it about okay, so here's another networking tip. When I teach the people in my networking group that want to send me more business to get everyone's business card. And this is what I teach them to do. If there's a card with a picture on it, and neither one of these has it, but let's just say that this had somebody's face on it. I ask them to get the other person's business card, look at it. And if there's a human picture on there, go, wow, what a great shot. And I tell them, I don't care if it's 1,000 years old. or it, whatever, just say, what a great picture. And one of two things is going to happen. The person whose picture it is going to say, well, thank you. And if they say, oh, thank you, they're happy with that picture, walk away. If they are not happy with the picture, which most of us are going to know what this answer is going to be, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's so old and I need a new one. Oh, really? I know somebody that does that. That's really good. So
I have their card right here.
yes, exactly. So it's super easy to get referrals from that circumstance, but I never try to sell to the person I'm talking to ever, because it's, again, kind of goes to that, like, ooh,
Sneaky.
this person's not here for, they don't care about me. They only care about themselves, which nobody likes.
Absolutely.
And one more question. So if you exchange a number or a card, whatever, kind of connect it with the person, and the person says, let's get connect, or, let's grab a coffee later. And I guess that my social anxiety kind of kicks in at that moment. I'll be okay once we meet up and talk, but I think I get anxious beforehand. Like, what am I going to talk about? Or are we just going to talk about personal lives or life, or is this strictly going into the business? Like, I guess, like, I just like going spinning in my head.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to talk about it when I meet up with the person one-on-one?
Yes. So I'll give you a framework. Let's see if I have one sitting here. I do. So because I belong to BNI, BNI teaches how to get to know people. So their framework is the first part. And when we do one-to-ones with each other, this is what we do. The first part is getting to know somebody. So where are you from? Are you from the area? Do you have family here? And I never ask, are you married? Because that can be a sensitive question. I just ask, do you have family here? And if they have family, they're going to tell you, yeah, I'm married, blah, blah, blah. I've got kids. I'll say I'm a dog mom. I'm a bird mom. I'm a rabbit mom. Because people are like, what? That's weird. Yes, I have a pet rabbit and a pet bird, opens conversations. And then the next part is getting to know about the business. So what do you do? Tell me more about, like, who's your ideal client? What are you hoping to accomplish this year? Are you on track for that? Is there, maybe I know some people that can, get you down the road further. What is it that, I have a lot of clients. I know a lot of people. I want to be a resource. I'm not trying to sell still. I'm just trying to be a resource. So who can I connect you to? What are the main, if there was a group of people that you really needed to meet, who would they be? And then the second half, I guess that is the second half, is like all those things, is who are your main, like, do you have a certain group of people that are always your clients, or that you work together with, like 1-2 punches, kind of like a realtor knows a lot of mortgage people, or wants to know more. They know all the trades people. A politician, she knows lots of people. She's looking to meet everybody because she's running for state senate. The pharmacist, there's just certain, think about, and if they can't answer that question, you can think about this question for yourself, is who do you need to meet? Where does your client go before you? And where does your client go after you? So those are the two questions I ask everybody if they can't think of anyone. Like, I don't know, I like, everybody's my client. That's true, sort of. I can photograph anyone with a face generally, but I'm not necessarily just looking for people with a face. I specialize in branding. So I'm looking for real estate agents, because real estate agents, insurance agents, attorneys. I don't think, is this my list? That's not my list. Anybody in beauty, like spas, estheticians, anyone who does personal training, anyone who deals with transformation. All of those people are who they're at those people before me, or they're at those people after me. Skincare, makeup and hair, anybody who spends money to look and feel better on
Mhm.
themselves could be my client. So, I'm always wanting to connect to those people. And so you have to get them thinking, because I saw little thought bubbles going there over people's heads. So as you're thinking about who you need to get them thinking about it, because again, the more you can get them help, the more that's going to come back to you. I mean, very much what you put out into the world is what comes back to you. So the more help you can be to other people, the more help they want to be to you.
100%. It's a fantastic answer. And I've never considered who did they see before you and after you.
Yeah, I was like,
That's
I
a
heard
great
that.
tip. That's gold. Write that in our golden nuggets, Kevin, because that's gold.
Kim, if you're in here, please write that into the goal. Delegate.
Right here.
Hopefully that helps you there, Kay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. So I want to go a little bit to talk about as you're introducing yourself and talking to people, how do you approach a conversation with someone obviously networking groups are a limited amount of time. Do you go in there with a mindset of, look, I need to talk to as many people as possible, so you're going to try to keep your conversation short, or you're trying to find a handful, if 1, 2, 3 people in a conversation throughout the entire night, as long as you're able to have fruitful conversation, that's a-okay with you?
I'll have to say it depends. It depends on the room I'm in. So the realtors around here, I'll just keep using them as an example because they're a good one. They have a group it's called the Women's Council of Real Estate Agents. So literally every single person in there is my client. I might go to a mixed group of men and women events where I'm more likely, men can definitely be my clients, but I'm more likely to connect to the woman in the room. So if I come in and I'm having a good conversation, I'm not going to stop a good conversation because that is also icky, right? Oh, I met you. Here's my card. Let me go off to the next one, right? So I'm going to spend an adequate amount of time depending on the conversation. You can also tell sort of what is the right amount of time if and if your antennas start to go up, like the conversation's dwindling. Excuse me, I see somebody over there. I need to go say hi to, whatever the right way is. But I think it's and there's also an etiquette in a networking group. If you go to an event, some people don't know this, but you can, if you feel uncomfortable and if you have social anxiety, you may not recognize these things. There's a very specific set of body language, so we photograph people and we're conveying a feeling through the imagery that we're creating. That image, that body language comes from the real world, right? So when you walk into a networking event and you see, and that's why I say I always look for the outliers, because you can see those people who are anxious. They're in the corner.
Hiding away, basically.
Yeah, they made it in the room, but that's as much as they got, right? They're just going to kind of stand against the wall and hold it up. But if you see a group of people and they're looking for one person they know, and if they don't know anyone, they're really terrified. But if you'll see a conversation happening and the two bodies are facing like this, they're face to face, their body language is face on to each other, eye contact to each other, and it's like this. Do not walk into that conversation, because this is not an open conversation, and you will make a bad impression because you interrupted a conversation that they were trying to have that did not include you, and they were not done and ready for you. Now, if you walk in and you see two people like this, they're angled out into the room, and they're talking to each other, but they're looking, they look at each other, but they look around the room and their bodies are angled away. They probably may or may not know each other, may have just met, but they're open to allowing a third person into that conversation. And same thing goes for a group. If there are a group and they have closed the circle, then you don't want to be like, hey guys,
No,
what happened?
yourself in.
Yeah, like shoehorned in there, because they're all going to be like, well, who is this person? What are they doing? You got to look for the open body language. So as long as there's a space open where you can actually step into it, then you can walk in and be like, hi, I'm so, how are you guys? What's going on? What do you guys do? But if it's not, then you create that negative impression and you suck the
Yes.
wind out of their conversation because, they might have been into something serious and they may know each other and be doing business. And suddenly now you've inserted yourself and they're like, who's this person? Oh, I heard she's a photographer. Oh, you don't want that, right?
Speaking my language right now, Tammy. So I am always, I tell people because I coach networking within our big networking group. And I say that if you're having a private conversation, stay face to face. And if you want people to come in, create a horseshoe, not a circle. So yeah, this is so key. And so few people talk about it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Can I do a quick screenshot real quick, just so we can put it in the group? Like,
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry, carry on, Kevin. I just realized I had that one.
I'm saying it's interesting that there are specific group etiquettes as, hey, if you're willing to let people into your conversation, like it's understood that you're going to position your body in your group in a specific way will then allow people in. Whereas well,
humans don't know we do it, but we do. It's just sort of a natural thing. And if some people don't have, like, it's just not a natural, they don't pick up on the vibes very easily. So if you can see it, if you understand it better and you can look for it, then it's easier to get in there, especially if you feel awkward about it, then look for an opening that makes sense.
Okay.
You're speaking my language. This is like my favorite thing to talk about is networking.
So let's see. We had another question from Naz asked, I do multiple genre photography, including maternity, glam, portraits, a mommy and me. Should I mention that on my conversations in networking meetings or after? And how should I start to talk about it?
Is it a one-time scenario or a multiple time scenario? I guess would be my first question. Are you going there repeatedly or is it just a one shot and that's it?
What about if it's multiple?
Or I can answer both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's multiple, if you only have, if you have multiple times to, like if it's a weekly thing or a monthly thing, pick two things maybe and say, I do a lot of things and these are the two things I really focus, because there's certain things you're going to like more than other things. And when I first started, I did beauty and I did this and that and the other, whatever, but I narrowed it into personal branding is really my hotspot. I do corporate headshots, but I really just want to do, I take headshots because they make money, but I do personal branding because it's what I love. And if I love it, so will a client, right? You're going to provide a better experience for something you love than something you don't. So if you're doing all the things when you start out, generally a lot of people do all the things because they're trying to land on, try all the things and see what you really love. So mention if it's multiple times, you're going to see the same people, start with the ones you love and then kind of work your way backwards. I do a lot of things and you can leave it open. I shoot all kinds of stuff. Right now I'm looking for, these are the things I really love and you'll get more of those. If it's a one-time shot, you could put it on your card. You could also do, I have one here somewhere. I do. You could do the accordions. Now this one's specific, and this is old, but this is specific to real estate agents. Because I do a lot of realtor kind of things. And these are all the top realtors that I focused. Everybody, when I hand this to somebody or show it to somebody, they're like, oh, you photographed this one and you photographed that one and you photographed this one. Like everybody goes to Tammy. So, but you can make this, you could show one of each in your accordion and say, here's my babies, here's my weddings, here's my whatever. And so you can say, I really, my passion is this, but I do all these things. And then you can just hand it to them and then they'll have all the things.
So question for you, if you're talking to someone at a networking event, you're talking that you do headshots and you do personal branding and they ask you what is personal branding? What do I do? What's that mean for me?
That is such an awesome question, Kevin. You know what? Do you have time for coffee next week sometime? I've got Tuesday and Thursday around lunchtime, we could grab a coffee and I'd be happy to fill you in on what that is. Or a Zoom, whichever's easier.
What if they just want a quick
A
description?
quick answer. So personal branding to me is everybody needs a good headshot. Everybody has to have at least one good headshot, right?
Even non-business owners.
Right. But if you
Everybody
think,
needs-
yeah, absolutely. But if you think about the bigger brands like Coke or Pepsi's, everybody knows them. What if they only ever played one commercial forever?
Oh, dang.
Write that down, you guys. Why do I need more than one headshot? Write that down.
After a while, it would get a little old and you'd stop paying attention. So, having a suite of images that represents you is what personal branding is. It's changing your commercial on a regular basis. You might have a different audience. You might, in different places. It is the way that you communicate to a variety of different audiences with different things.
Just thinking about that as you were saying that, like, what if you're a brand and you only ever played one commercial? It's like, I am a business and I'm putting out only one image of myself ever. And you never let people know that you're updated and you're constant and current.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yes.
And
for those that don't have a headshot, so this is an interesting thing. I was telling Kevin, I have got a new class that the class is done. I'm just working on the marketing and I don't have the time or some of the expertise necessary to complete what I really want for the marketing to happen. So I posted, I'm in this Facebook group for this stuff. And I was like, I need somebody to help me get this done. And like 10 people messaged me and they were like, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And I was like, what do you think? The first thing I did was look at their face, right? I don't know these people from a hole in the wall. And I'm like looking at they were sending me, here's my headshot, not a headshot. And I'm like, where's your website? Don't have one. Do you think I'm hiring these people? Absolutely not. But the one who sent me what looked like a professional headshot and a website with testimonials, all those things, was the one that got the business. And they had multiple things. I went to their social media, all the things before I ever reached out to any of them. And then after I talked to them, I then reached out to their testimonials because those are even easy to find.
Wow.
And asked, because sometimes the testimonials could be made up, right? So I reached out to their testimonials and I was like, this is a real person. And I reached out to that person and I said, did you have a good experience? So guess what, people? This is what's happening to your business. If they're going to spend $3,000 with you for pictures, they're going to do a little investigating. So you want to have your own, starts with you. It always amazes me of all the workshops over the year I've done with Sue. And we used to do these little one-to-one sessions like this. People would like bring all their marketing stuff and shove it under my nose. And the first thing I would pick up is their business card. And let's just say it's this one. And I'm like, what do you do for a living? And they're like, I shoot personal branding and this and that and the other. And I'm like, you're a photographer? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, where's your picture? There's no picture on here. Like we're trying to tell people they should have a picture on their card, but we don't have one on our card. What does that say? So it's kind of fun.
It's funny as you were saying, like, oh, I look at their headshot. You went to their website. You said you're looking at their testimonials. In my mind, I was like, what testimonials can be fake? And then all of a sudden you say, oh, I contacted their testimonial. Like, oh my goodness.
I've done that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars with these people. I'm like, I'm going to make sure they're real,
Very interesting.
Yeah.
We did have a couple other questions in the chat. Jose said, hey, Tammy, in your BNI experience, what have you felt that has been your best tool to educate your group what you do and build stronger business relationships?
Show them. So if you can, I think we forget that, again, we're a visual medium and, we talk about what we do, but we don't show what we do. And if you can, it's ironic that we, before and afters have been a point of contention since this all started, once you started it. Do we do before and afters? You know, blah, blah, blah. But one of the sessions we get in BNI, you get a featured presentation, and once every, depending on how big your group is, once a year, twice a year, whatever that is. And I tried to switch it up each time I do it. And one of them, I showed before and afters. This was earlier on. I still do before and afters, but I don't post them anymore just because I don't really need to. But I do them because I want to actually see what people look like before the makeup goes on, because they may have a mole or something that is part of them that should not be removed. So I actually had somebody say something about their eyes at one point, like their eyes were different after they got their makeup on. Like one was bigger and one was smaller. Well, they just never noticed it. Like people don't notice that until after they get their pictures back. Most people have one eye, not most, a lot of people have one eye bigger.
Almost all people, I think.
Yeah, most people are not symmetrical. Something's off, not exactly even. But people don't notice until they see their images that this eye's bigger than that eye or whatever. And I went back to the original picture that with no makeup, no hair. I was like, here's your, this is what you look like before makeup. It's the same. I didn't change your eyes. But anyway, now I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? BNI.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the presentation. So how you set yourself apart. So if you can I showed the before and afters, and people were like, wow, and it's just hair and makeup and posing. But if you can show your work, that would be a good thing, because we forget to show our work when we're just talking, but we're a visual medium. So show it. The other thing is really just one-to-ones. The more one-to-ones, and this is why I carry one-to-ones through everything I do, whether it's in BNI or out of BNI, is you cannot get to know people. You can, it's just a lot harder. If you're specific and targeted on getting to know someone else's business, and again, focus on them, the more you can help them, the more they will help you. And you can just go back and forth with if you're in BNI, using the gains profile, can't think what it's called. Highly recommend it. You're leaving money on the table if you're not. Hopefully that answers your question.
I think it does. And I think that's why it's so popular for us to use the accordion cards, because you're able to show more than one image. It's like, this is what we do, is we create images. So why wouldn't we show as many as we can? That's a takeaway that's cost effective, right? You can't hand everybody an album, but to be able to have 10 images and just say, I'm a photographer like this.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can have, and that's my dog, but you can have, a gallery, like pre-populated with the best work you want to show. If you're going to go to an event with real estate agents and you don't want to invest in an accordion card, you can have, let me just show you. If somebody asks you what you do, let me just show you. I used to do way back at the beginning. I did the Moo card. I still use Moo, but I did the Moo cards with the pictures on the back, and they were all different. And when somebody would ask me what I would do, and there's a video on Sue's site somewhere where, it's like, I would just lay them all out and I'll say, this is what I do. And they're like, oh, and they start looking around and they'll pick the one they like the most. They'll say, can I have one of these? I'm like, yeah, which one do you like the best? And they pick one. I'm like, okay, so now I know what client, what you want for your session based on what you chose. Yeah. So that kind of thing can work too.
You want to take some questions?
Yeah. So Andrea asks in the chat, I got a bunch of business cards that I needed quickly. It has the business name and the address logo on it. Is there a way or place that I can use them up and not have them end up in the garbage?
So basically there are no images. I'm getting, it's just like information and a logo. So is there a way that you would use a whole bunch of business cards up that didn't have an image? I think is the question.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking. So do you have, let me think about this for a second. You could use those as, it depends. Do you have clients or not? Do you have a lot of clients, previous clients? You could send them out to your previous clients and give them, you could use them as an incentive. If you get one of these back, give these to your friends. And if they come back for a shoot, I'll give you something, a discount towards your next shoot or an additional image, whatever that you can use them for generating additional clients potentially through your existing client base. If you give me a few minutes, I'll have to think about that one. What else?
Here's
did you
how
think
I
of?
would view that. To get a bunch more cards, it's less than $100, right? My guy is like $92 for the, and if I need 500 cards, yes, I don't want to be wasteful and throw them away, but that investment is more likely to convert somebody into remembering me and what I do. So I don't know if personally I would find a way to use them. I would find a way to replace them if it was me.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's like, are you really going to
It's like
allow?
filling a possible lead, right? Like if you have the option to give them one with a picture, then I would make that investment to get a new set with pictures if it was me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I may come up with something else, but I'm with you, Angie. You know, like I invest in you guys, obviously.
Yeah, it's like mine's
but
like the velvety one.
yes, they have
Yeah.
a feel, you
So
know,
when
and
people pick it up, they're like, ooh.
yeah, women are tactile. So when, not that men aren't, but you know, when you feel something like and this is the booklet for the class, it has like that, I forget what it's called. What is that finish? There's a
Silk?
certain, I can't remember what it's called, but it has like this,
Suede.
it's like a suede kind of feel to it.
Luxe finish.
And it's like you touch it and you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
like I want to caress it. It just like, I love that where it just feels like you're touching like a bat. I don't do leather stuff, but I'm like, you know, it feels that way where it's a nice, you know, it just feels luxurious is what we're looking for. So this is one of those things. And people tell me they keep my cards long after, like it'll be years. They're like, one of these days I've got your card in my drawer. I'm going to come and see you. You know, that's just, they put it on their wish list.
You could also use it as an example. Like, here's my old card. Here's my new card. Which one speaks to you more?
Yes.
This is why you need your image on your business card,
Yes.
right? So you could use it as a learning point.
Yes, for sure.
I was going to say, it's funny you said about the women are tactile, because I went to a networking meeting. Was it last week? And the week before that, and I handed it to her. And the moment I gave it to her, I actually have a fairly thick card, because I wanted a higher quality card when I initially got it. I didn't get the 500 or the 200. I got like 50, knowing that, you know, if I ever wanted to change it, I wouldn't be throwing away like 200 cards,
Right.
but it would get me a higher quality card. And it was like, she's like, how many cards is this? No, it's one, you know, because, you know, most cards you just put a little bit of effort on is going to bend really quickly.
The Vistaprint. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine literally, it feels like it might snap as opposed to bend.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and we're a luxury brand, right?
and that's exactly
So
why.
if you have a velvet finish and it's thicker, it's like it's luxurious subconsciously, right?
So
For sure.
Okay, lots more questions in the chat, and I do see that we have a hand up as well. Kevin, I'll let you decide which direction.
you know what? I'll take the hand up, and then we'll go through the questions in the chat, and we'll get through all questions. And if another hand comes up, we'll go through there. So Michelle, if you can unmute. Processing.
She spells it with one L like my middle name. It's the right way to spell it. I'm kidding.
I didn't realize that was your middle name.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. My computer started going all wild and crazy, and then I lost everything.
Oh.
Okay, so I have the dot card, which is, I don't know if you guys are familiar. I think I showed it during one of the meetings, but it's basically a little like magnet that you put on the back of your phone. Somebody taps their phone to it, and it takes them to kind of like a link in bio, but it lets them save your contact directly into their phone. It has my website, my business phone number, my email, and all my socials. Would you suggest that I actually have physical business cards as well? Or, I mean, is that sufficient for networking events and such? And it does have my photo on it.
I think we're good. I think we're in a transition period. So, you know, there was a guy in my BNI chapter whose whole business model, it's called Follow App, where it's all on the app. So basically you walk in a room, you open the app, and everybody that's registered shows up on your phone. And
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, that's
and-
cool.
Yeah. So it's a great concept, but the average age of the people in my chapter, I want to say, is probably 45, maybe 50. And then we're getting younger ones because we're looking for them. But the younger set, I hate to say it that way because I'm getting old now, but the 20 to 30 somethings probably be all about that. The 40 to plus people, maybe not so much, because that's more work.
That's more work.
I got to do something.
I understand.
Yeah, it's just work. I can just take your card and hold on to it. And then they feel like, well, why don't you just have a card? So, I feel like you have to kind of speak to both audiences. We're in that transition period. AI is going to like elevate the world. And that's probably one of the things coming where it'll just be like, scan my face and you'll have all my information. But whatever that looks like, it's going to change. But right now, I still feel like you got to kind of have in both, because it's just we're still the older 40 plus people that still want a hand. They want something in their hand.
I have the
Okay.
tappable one too, but then also on the back of my card, this QR code takes it to exactly what you're talking about, Michelle. So my business card has both.
Yeah.
And that's through, it's called Popple. You have yours through?
I do Popple, P-O-P-L. It's free.
Okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
I think you can do those in Canvas. You can make a QR code in Canva too and put those on your card. That's free. I think it's free anyway. I have a paid thing, but I'm pretty sure you can do the QR code for free in Canva.
Mhm.
So we had another question in chat is, what about using like an image from your portfolio versus using a portrait of yourself on your business card? Is one way better than the other, or does it not matter much?
Well, and I'll go back to when I started, I did both, right? I've always had my picture on my card, always. So even the early, I look back at those cards. I don't know if I don't have one in reach. That I had like square cards, which is also annoying, right? I was like, these are cool because they're different, but they're
They
different.
don't fit in the.
And they don't fit. Yeah, they're different, and everybody hates different. So because they don't fit right, and so I went to the normal size cards, but the average, like everybody does, because some things you can't push the boundaries on. But I always had my picture, and I used to put the variety of different work on the back. And I think it's up to you. If I anymore, I just want all my information on there, because it's just, and I like the whole thing I'm talking about. I brand, right? I brand for a living. So this whole space is me, because that's who you're buying. When you come in for a session, it's me and not anybody else. So, and I'm trying to teach you, it's all about you. So, I want you, and people have a struggle with that is, oh, is it, I don't know if it's all about me. I don't know, I'm trying to push, it's all about you and you need to make a difference. So I use that real estate for that, but you could absolutely use both. Is one better than the other? I would always say you should be on there always.
I was gonna say is
I see Katura has her camera.
yeah, I know. I said let me get through these questions. Tell me, where do you get your business card printed at?
Me?
Yeah.
Moo.
Moo.
Yeah,
Okay.
moo.com.
Someone had asked that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Kate, like, give me 1 second, Katura. Let me ask this one first. Do you have business cards and an accordion card, or just one or the other? I was planning on getting the accordion card and putting my own image on the last page with contact info.
So I'm in here. I don't use, there's these are older. So there is a picture. Hi, I'm Tammy. And here's my details is in there. And then on the back, I have all the contact info. So can you use these as a card? Absolutely. That is entirely up to you. I only do these for special events. And as I mentioned, I used to belong to a council of affiliates that serve real estate agents. Basically, they're all like mortgage and everybody that wants a real estate person as their client. So I made those because I was trying to target that market. I wanted, here's all the top realtors in the area that everybody knows. And I'm trying to show that to the people that don't know me. So you can absolutely do one or the other, whatever your style works better. If you don't like to talk about what you do very much, then this is going to be a great way to do that. Just show it to them. And these are, I don't know how old this is, but it's pretty old. So I haven't used one in forever. I keep this, it's nearby me because I talk to when I'm doing a consultation. So this is all here behind me because when I'm doing a branding consultation, this is specific to branding. The person I'm talking to has never met me and they don't know what I do. So here are examples of the work that I do. Or if I'm on a networking meeting online and people don't know who I am, by the way, there's my email and there's my phone number and my business name and my name, because how many times have you gone on to a Zoom networking meeting? Well, probably most of us over the pandemic. And
Right.
you're looking at somebody and you're like, who are they again? And you got to do the little jiggle so you see the name pop up. But if you did a screenshot right now, you would have all of my information, right? So super easy. I'm trying to make it super easy for people to find me. So and remember me. So the background is specific to, and then I will use as an example, I'll be like this one and that one when I'm talking to somebody, but I also show I do the, what do you call it? When I do my consultation, I show everything I have a magazine, which I show online while I'm talking. So and I forgot again, sorry, I lost my train of thought, whatever the original question was. I don't know if I answered it.
I think you did.
Okay, good.
All right.
Much good stuff to share.
Exactly. Katura?
Hi, thank you so much. This has been really helpful. I'm in a new city and I'm going to actually today to my first real networking meeting in a long time. So this has been a really good refresher. I just went through my Moo cards and picked out all the ones that have me on the back because I'm like, those will be the best ones to give out. But this, Angie gave me the go ahead to ask a question on a different topic. I saw a while back, sometime within the last year, maybe in the Facebook group, that you had a really successful like corporate headshot day where you photographed like hundreds of people. And I was just curious to hear a little bit more about that. Like, I don't have anything lined up at the moment of that nature, but I would like to down the road. And I'm just curious, like, did you have prices set in advance for that sort of thing? Did you figure it out on the fly for that particular client? And sort of, how do you decide how to price for that? And how'd that all work out for you? Just super curious about it.
Yeah. So the irony of all that is I got that client because two of my branding clients had previously worked for that company. And I got a call out in New York one afternoon. This guy's like, hey, we have a corporate office where you live in Memphis, and we need somebody to do corporate headshots. We want to get everybody back in. With COVID, they have this gigantous corporate office and not a single soul in it. There's very few people that work actually out of their corporate office since the pandemic. And they're like, we really want to utilize you and so little hint here, this is a good idea for you to promote yourself with is, hey, if you know any corporate clients whose big offices are empty and they haven't seen each other except for on Zoom, anybody who's working at home, so you can be like, hey, anybody who works for a company where everybody's at, the four corners and they haven't seen each other in a while, they use this as an incentive to get people to come to the corporate office. They paid me to do, had updated headshots because they hadn't had them in like 2 years. So I got that call and they never asked me what my pricing was. And I was like, that's weird. And then they connected me to the local person here on the grounds, and I called her and, well, she didn't call me back, but after I got the first person involved, long story short, they got me hooked up, and she didn't ask me about prices either. And I was like, well, somebody needs to know about the price, right? So I was like, at the end of sort of our conversation, I was like, so I charged this for, they paid my regular pricing. And I was like, so for groups, it's this. And they were like, cool, just send us, that's going to be like $25,000. So can you just break it in two and send it? Cause I can pay it on my corporate card under I think it was under 15. So I was like, no, not a problem. Yeah. So that I didn't have any issues. And she was like, we love the work. And she knew the two people I photographed as well. She's like, we love your work so much. And this will happen on a regular basis. If they like your work, they will pay you what you're worth. So, even if they were trying to bring my prices down, I would have said no. I have, I do up to 10 to 20. And then I think I have 20 to 30, and then anything plus is basically, so anything over that is a certain drops down by, I don't know, 10 or $15, not much. And, I've determined that I will not work for less than this per person, because I'm going to get you. Okay. So imagine, now we spread this over 5 days, but imagine you have 125 people. Every 8 minutes is a new face. So the amount of energy to get 25 or 30 people in a row, or 40, all, every 8 minutes, you're like, hey, you're terrified to be here. And now I got to get you to look great, so you have the best headshot you've ever had in your whole life. This was the energy. And you can hear my energy now. I have pretty good energy for smaller amounts of time, a couple hours, but every 8 minutes is a lot. So, but I gave everything I had and then some, and I retouched the image, because that's what I do for any other client. So my key, if you want to try to get that business, is look for those that have remote workforces, because it's a great way to get them in. And they don't come in very often. Otherwise, you can target, have your networking. You can ask your people, if you're in a networking group like BNI or wherever, ask for companies that don't have them, because it's as important. If you have a team, like I use this as an example behind me, this one here. So that's a real estate team, and most realtors work by themselves, right? But he wanted, so my microphone. So he wanted to show he's better because he has a team of people, right? Because he's got, not only do you have me working for you, you got all those people working for you too, because they all back me up. So if you could hire this person or a team of people to support your efforts in selling your home, who would you choose? So, you can look for people like that who don't have, and we did individual headshots for them too. But if you want somebody that looks like a friendly group, and I did multiple group poses for them as well. And when I do my presentations, I show, here's a bunch of different groups in different formations, so you can kind of decide what works for you. But all of that is tailored specifically to your group. So it looks a certain way and you present a certain way, because we all know somebody's going to research you and decide you versus someone else based on what you're showing them.
We did have a couple of questions about your pricing. So somebody wanted to know how many people were included in that. And then a couple other people wanted to know clarification on your pricing for more than one person. Do you mind sharing that?
I don't. I'll have to look, because I can't remember it's $199 for, if I just, a 10-minute session is $199 plus tax. A 20-minute session is $250. And that's up to 10. I think it drops 10 by, it's like $10 or $15 to the next, if you're 10 to 20, and then anything over 20 is, so they were like 95, I think. Whatever 25,000 divided by 100.
I'll calculator it.
Yeah, I got one right here too. It was 25,000 divided by, like, I think it was 125 people. That says $200. That might not be right. Is that right? I can't remember. It's something close to that. Maybe it was a few more people, 135 people. I can't remember now. It was a lot. That was last year. I slept since then. But
I slept since then. That was cute.
yeah, but yeah, the standard ones I do all the time it's $200 for 10 minutes, and that's just head and shoulders. And then I upgrade them to, if they want something a little less here's my Head and Shoulders, like
Yep.
every other person in the whole world. Then I upgrade them to the 20-minute, and they come in whatever they're going to wear. I don't do hair and makeup for those, because I'm not trying to be, you want hair and makeup, you're going to come and do a personal branding session. And
Yep.
guess what? I'm going to show you that first. When we do your consultation, I'm showing you all the options. The first option is personal branding, which is all the bells and whistles. And generally, some of those people will be like, probably about half those people, unless they're literally just like, I just need a headshot for LinkedIn, then I'm like, fine, we'll do whatever. But the people who are executives in a corporate thing, or they own a business that, like a real estate agent or whatever, they need more. And when I show them the why they need more, they're like, oh gosh, I need more. And I really want that. So when I get done with that, I'm like, so do you want to see the headshot ones? And they're like, yeah, that's okay. I want that one. So if I didn't say, the 20-minute, I wouldn't finish that conversation. The 20-minute is they wear what they're going to wear for the first one. And then 10 minutes, I do 4 poses, and 10 minutes, they change clothes, they come back, and we do the same 4 poses, same backdrop, no change. If they want changes, they can come in for a branding one. Or their other outfit, and they get 1. I will retouch probably 4, because guess what happens? They're wearing 2 different outfits, and they end up wanting 2 different images, or 3 sometimes. So, and then I sell them the second one for another $250. So I've made $500 for a 20-minute session. All good. And it was like super easy for me. It's just literally like in, out, done, retouch. Thanks. More money.
I do see Katura has her hand up. She probably has a follow-up question. $500 for 2 images, Tanya asked. Sorry, Katura.
What was the question?
Sorry, I jumped the queue. ADD.
Okay.
Katura, go ahead.
It's okay. I think you answered my question. That's what I was going to ask. How many, the $200 10 minutes was for 1 image.
Yes.
And then the 20 minutes, 2 outfits. So potentially 2 images, but the second one is an add-on.
I charge the same amount. Yeah. So if you pay $250 for a 20-minute session and you want to buy another one, it's another $250. Because you're getting a discount, because my a la carte on my personal branding is $450. So yeah, so you're not getting all the bells and whistles of that. So it's a little less expensive. And I know everybody's, back in the olden days of 10 years ago, the pricing was less. And I used to do less even for the headshots, or I should say, I used to give more for less. But over time I was like, I'm not making less than this. I'll spend 10 minutes, I can throw a 10-minute anywhere onto anything. I'm at the studio, come in for your 10-minute. And that's, if I got $200, I'm happy. Or 500 is what usually happens on the 20-minute. And I'm happy to slide a 20-minute. Did you lose me? What happened?
For a second.
Yeah, just for a second. I thought it was me.
Okay.
Usually me.
Okay. I got the extra super size internet, so hopefully that shouldn't happen, but yeah, so I think did I answer the question? Sorry, I keep getting off on trains of thoughts here.
No, you're doing great. Like this is incredible. And thank you for being so transparent and with your wisdom. I appreciate it. Kevin, did we have other questions in chat? There are a lot of questions about pricing, but I think that you just covered. If somebody had a question about pricing that was not just covered, if you want to repost it.
Would 250 be okay? We did.
Would 250 per person be reasonable, or would you throw it out of whack for 100+ people?
Ask that again.
Hang on, let me go.
250 per person be reasonable, or would it throw them out of whack for if it's 100+ people?
And so I'm just gonna pull mine up because I can't remember I don't get the great big ones
right
often. So let me just pull my magazine open. Where is it? There it is. It depends on the customer, right? So I just sent them my magazine and said, there's what I cost. So I charge see here. Let me zoom in so I can actually see it. 20 to 29 people is, okay, so it's 199 up to 9, 10 to 14 is 174, 20 to 24 is 149. So I charge 150. So whatever 25,000 divided by 149 is what I charged for those people. I can't remember exactly how many people it was. It was just a lot. And that was my set pricing. I could easily, and I probably will in the near, once I launch my class, all my photography pricing is going up again, because I will have less time to deal with it. So once I'm doing more on the education side, I will offer less on the photography side. So you want me, you gotta pay more for me. And that's what I was going to say earlier that I didn't finish the thought on, is the pricing has changed a lot over the years, right? And as each mentor, like the original mentors and then the supporters who became mentors later, the pricing now is what would seem astronomical probably to some people who are just starting out. When you're hearing or seeing posts that people are saying, I made $5,000 or on 10 people or 5 people, whatever it is, it sounds like a lot, and it's hard to get behind and get your brain wrapped around that. It only sounds high to you based on your filter. Right. So my experience was corporate. When I started, I was, and I've come from a long sales background. So I was selling sometimes, my previous life, I'd sell $30,000 deals, and it was like, it was like, that's just what it costs. And you're like, oh, okay. So
I used to sell Mercedes and Jaguars. So
yeah. And so when you ask for $3,000, it doesn't sound like a lot. It's just relative. Right. So, but if you're only charging $100 and you're asking for $3,000 now, that seems like a big jump. So it's all where your head is. And it is 100% everything Sue teaches about the value you hold for yourself. When you're starting out, you feel you get the imposter syndrome and all the things. And you're like, I'm not good enough to charge this. Your client doesn't know this gets me every time. Somebody will post a picture that someone else took or even they took, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is so great on Facebook, right? Like, this is the best picture ever. And you're looking at it as a photographer, like, that is not the best picture ever. I know I can give you way better.
Right.
And so they don't know what they don't know any more than you don't know what you don't know. So charge what you think you're worth is what is adequate for the time that you're going to spend and what you're comfortable with having. But if you're not charging enough, it's not worth spending the time doing.
Well, again, you're only keeping a third of that. So
right.
25,000 is like, oh, that's so much money, but it's 5 days. There's a lot of work. There's costs involved. So it's not like Tammy just, dropped 25 grand into her personal bank account.
Right.
That's one of the things that I think I disconnected for a few years.
Yeah. It's hard to, and I have a studio and all the things. So it's like, you buy photography equipment and this and that. So it's not just pure profit. It's, there's cost. The reason why there's so many photographers, it's a low cost to entry. You can be a photographer without a studio, without all the things, as long as you have a camera. But that's why there's also a lot of shoot burn and a lot of people who are actually not photographers. They don't.
And they burn out really fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. They're doing too much for too little and they're not that good. So, the people who are here are investing in their future by saying, I'm going to learn all the things so I can do this long term.
So I was going to ask, how long for that big job that you said you had 25,000, 5 days, how long were each days? Like
half days. I think I got there at like 10, it depended on the day. Cause one of them, they were coming in internationally. So I met them at a hotel. But the other days were at their corporate office and they gave me an assistant. So, which was really cool. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to need somebody to do this. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll have our so-and-so do it. And I was like, cool. Cause I would have had to pay somebody to do that. She just sat at the desk all day and I don't think I have them in somewhere. I have the erasable boards. I was like, I'm going to need you to get them to sign this release, write their name on this board so I can take their picture so I know who they are later because they're all in succession. And, I bought a stack of like a box of them off Amazon with the markers and everything and the whiteboards. Like, can you do this and this and hold them until, when the next one comes out, send me the new one. And so that was awesome. but
That answers one of the questions in the chat too. How do you make sure that the right person gets the image? Like, how do you know who's in each one?
yeah, you literally like the whiteboard. I don't have anything that's white, but you just hold up
Yeah.
their, they right there. The person would whiteboard their name, and at the first shot, I would talk them up, and we're talking a lot about headshots and like that. Exactly. I do way more like corporate headshots is like this much of my business, and personal branding's like this much of my business. But yeah, you just have them have somebody who can get them to pay for it and not you yourself. Cause I can't shoot in 8 minutes and all that. But yeah, I would have them come in, get them. I would talk about them, because what do we do when we're trying to get people to relax is get the focus off what we're doing, right? So I would just talk to them about them and what do they do, and they're like, oh, I'm and they're like, oh, and so we would just have a conversation. So of that 8 minutes, probably only half of it was actually shooting, because I had to warm them up first, and then we'd hold up the thing, and I'd be like, okay, and then I made it fun. I did a little thing where I'm like, do a fun pose, and they'd be like, whatever, or their personality. So, and then I made a little reel of them all, like,
Oh, that's fun. I love that.
Yeah. So they could put it on their internal social media. So all the people that, in my mind, all the people that didn't sign up because they didn't have to sign up, and there was a whole bunch more that didn't sign up, would be like, oh, look at all these people got these great pictures taken. I want one now.
Mhm.
You ever have any other people that are like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to be fun.
Yeah. Some were just like, I'm just, like there were some scientists and, some very like brainy people who were just like, this was like, a stretch.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's see. Couture, did you have your hand back up? Yep.
I'm I'm sorry. I just have one more quick follow-up question.
Sure.
I'll make it quick. Quantity-wise, with the bigger groups, what do you think is the cutoff line between trying to potentially offer them a second look and second image, or it's just too many people, we just need to do one look, one image? Like, what is the cutoff, do you think?
It depends on you. I know my own limitations, I guess would be the best way to put it, is I didn't want to spend, it would have been too much for me to manage that many people in a row. And because even getting some people, when you have that many people, not everybody can even smile well for a headshot. So, I had some people where it was a lot of coaching, like just moving their body around was like a problem for them. And, those are fewer and farther between, but you still have them. So 2 poses would take more time, or whatever. So I would, if you wanted to do something like that, I would, and I did not do this because I have done in the past. I'll put it this way. Like I used to do, there was a thing here called Mentoring Monday that the local business magazine would put on, that they would hire me to shoot from 10, actually it started at like 6 a.m. It was like 6:30 to 10 is when it ended. And there was a finite amount of shots I could do because they were 10 minutes, and I would be booked, and that was it. But I would give them, and I don't have them right where I can grab them, but I would make up these little cards because I wanted to reach them again. So I would have them, I would do multiple poses for that. And I would have them come to the studio to pick which one. And then I would give them a thing, this little coop. So I said, I don't discount, but I would, for that, I would give them whatever they spent on that session towards a full branding package. So if they spend, 150, 200, or what would be $200. If they spent $200, I would throw them into, if they bought a bundle for personal branding, I would allow them to apply that, because I would much rather they do a full package, and I was willing to give up $200 to get it. So, stuff like that, then you can get more money, and then you can spend the adequate amount of time, because my 10-minute or 8-minute experience is not the same as my, couple of hour experience, obviously.
Right.
Hopefully that answers the question. Control. Perfect. Let's see.
Manaz had one about, sorry, go ahead.
I am invited to a wine and paint, and they said I can have a table on the corner and talk about my business. They are ladies in their 40s plus and business owners, and I think it's the best opportunity to advertise my 40 over 40 photography experience. They asked me to create a small gift for everyone. what is the best option? Should I give away a gift voucher as well?
So I used to do a lot of those. I'm trying to think what I even used to do. You could do, so if you want to gather names, a paint party doesn't sound like it's gonna be a ton of people. You could do a fishbowl is some things I used to do. You could do a fishbowl for a voucher. So everybody give me your information, and some people you can ask for a business card, but if it's a paint thing, they may not have a business card. So I used to make up little like fill out things with their name, email, phone number, whatever, and have them drop it into the fishbowl. And at the end, you can just pull one out and say they want to whatever, however much voucher you want to give away. As far as giving something, I mean, I don't love that because you're already there. And I just don't like to discount. So if I'm going to give away, I got actually, so at my BNI meeting today, it's in somewhere else, but I got a little gift thing. It had a pen and cookies that they made, and they were individually wrapped, in like sealed. So it could be something as simple as that, where you could have, there are cookiers, they're called cookiers.
Yeah.
And you could have them make a branded cookie with if you have a logo, or even your face, if you have a look that you could use that. But usually most people have a logo, especially photographers. So you could have them do cookies with your logo, and they seal them they're called heat sealing. Yeah, you got one over there. I see somebody holding one up there. Kate's holding up something there. Yeah. So you could do what that looks like. And then it's one more, so they're eating it and they're thinking of you. So that would probably be what I would do. And those are pretty relatively inexpensive.
That's not a bad suggestion at all. I love it. I just want to go ahead and let people know we do got approximately 15 minutes before we able to wrap up. So if we get your questions in, just a reminder, after this, we do have the awards and accreditations for the Portrait Masters. So be available for that as well. So get your questions in, folks. Let's see. I don't know if
I did something, sorry, to tie into that. So I did blue cake pops because blue is my logo color. So I made cake pops and individually wrapped them with just a little gift tag on there with my business card.
Perfect.
Sorry.
No worries. Let's see. Case asks, I don't know if Tammy mentioned already, but does she allow image selecting after the photo shoot?
Depends which one. Not the 10-minute. No, the 10-minute I pick because it's literally like, it's this way or this way. And just, I rotate them through 15 shots of head and shoulders. So I'm picking it and I tell them, I'm going to find the one where you look your best, and I'm retouching it and you're getting it. And the 20-minute, yes, because I want to sell them more. So I find the best ones out of that. And then I will do a Zoom because it's just easier and takes less of my time. And I will show you, here's the ones, and they're like, oh, I can't decide. I like those both. Well, you can buy the other one, and they generally will upsell themselves on those. So yes, for sure.
Give me a second. When you do several people for many, this is from Gabriel. When you do several people for many sessions, how many outfits can they change into, and do they have enough time to change?
No changing for the 10-minute. They just walk in wearing what they're going to wear. The 20-minute, they walk in wearing what they're going to wear, change, as fast as it takes to change, and they come right back for the second outfit, and that's it. For me, you can do those literally any way you can think of it, any way you want to do it. You can do it any way you like. I've never done like headshot days. You can certainly do that. It's, any way you want to do it. This is your business. I don't love, except for when there's a big chunk of them, I don't love corporate headshots. And let's say we keep talking about that, but I really just mostly do branding. I don't know why we got on that one, but 90% of what I shoot is branding because that's where the money is. And I enjoy it far better. It's fun. Headshots are nice because they're zoop, done. And here's a little bit of money. Branding is, several $1,000s more than, and it's one session. And, I have multiple, this lady has been to me like 5 or 6 times, and sent me her family and so on. And she sends me, she's a broker, so she sends me all the people. So, I would much rather do branding than headshots.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Kelly asked Tammy, if there's someone you want to post on your socials, do you get a signed release or do you have a blanket release, or how do you get the contact info to follow up?
I missed the very beginning of what you said. Will you repeat that part?
If there was someone you want to post on your socials, do you get a signed release or do you have a blanket release, or do you get contact info to follow up?
I won't photograph someone without a release, period. There's no one, even outside of my husband or my parents, everybody else gets a release. I photograph my makeup artist, she gives me a release, whoever, anybody. Yeah. Cause if I want to use your image, I want to own the rights. Not that I don't, by US law, we own them anyway, but I want a piece of paper you sign that says I own it. So I 100% make them sign. And headshots, I do a simplified version. Personal branding is a little bit more because they're going to be using them all over the place. So like I don't allow billboards, for example, because billboards need more work, right? They're way bigger, although it's farther away, but it's more money. It's like buying 8x10 versus 40, 50, whatever the big sizes are. You're going to spend more money for that. Or if you're going to publish a book, you're going to spend more money for that. Or if you're going to use it on your CD to market your music with, you're going to spend more money for that. So I have specific things that, those kind of, some of those things are on the basic one, but there's more when I'm doing a whole suite of images, and I'm going to find out in advance typically what they're using them for.
Right.
So I will have a better idea. Okay, that yes, that no. Or spend more money.
I love hearing that you have so many systems and processes in place, and you have like, it's very clear what you're doing. You know what you're doing. It's all very intentional. You're not just throwing spaghetti. Like, you've been at this. This is why you're a mentor. I have dropped the link in the chat a couple of times to your mentoring site. So if people are interested in working with Tammy as well, we have about 7 minutes left, and I know we have more questions in here, but I just wanted to say it's refreshing to see all like how clear you are on your systems and processes.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't operate without boundaries, I guess, is,
Yes.
there are the fastest way to get yourself into trouble is not be clear. And where we see so many posts in the groups about not like, well, I didn't tell them, I sent them my brochure and that had my pricing, but they were upset at the reveal because it cost this much. And I'm like, dude, you got to be like, oh, I'm telling my price all the time from start to finish. I should say that. I don't talk when somebody calls me on the phone and says, I'm interested in having a headshot or whatever for business or anything. I'm like, great, let's get on a Zoom call, because I'm going to show you all the things. And then I'm going to tell you the price. I'm going to get you interested. I'm going to show you the value and, get you interested in the experience. And then I'm going to tell you the price, because anything you like, when you go to the car dealership, Angie, you said you used to sell, was it Mercedes?
Mercedes, Jaguar, Audi.
Yeah. So you don't just walk up and go, I want to buy this one. How much is it? I mean, you do, but you're like, the first thing you're doing is getting them in a test drive. Let me get you to drive it first, because it smells like a new car. It feels like a new car, and it rides like a new car.
Right, you determine whether they're a features or a benefits customer.
Right.
And then you speak to that. And then you discuss pricing and how to make it workable within what they've set out, whether it's their interest rates and such.
Yeah. They're going to
What
tell
we
you.
do.
Yeah, they're going to tell you what they're going to light up on certain things. And I have a very, my process, of course, it's developed over the years, but when I'm interviewing, because that's what it is, when somebody's coming on for a consultation, I'm finding out, I ask them a bunch of questions, and I'm hearing what they're telling me what they want. And then I'm turning that back around to, here's how you're going to get what you want. Right.
Exactly.
So it's just creating it's a sales situation. It's like asking, when I used to sell tires way back in the day, and, somebody would come into the tire store and be like, looking at a wall of tires. Now, how exciting is this? Here's a wall of tires. They all smell like rubber. That's all I got, and I'd be like, but they're looking at them and they're like, I need new tires. And I'm like, okay, well, are you interested in, tell me about your car. Is it this kind of car or that kind of car? Is it, are you looking for a smooth ride or function? Or you want long ride? Back in those days, tires didn't last a million years. So they lasted 40,000 or longer. Do you going for the inexpensive, or are you going for the which buyer are you? And then you would figure out, they would tell you how to sell them, because they're like, well, I have a really nice Cadillac and I really like it to be smooth and whatever. And you're like, cool, let me walk you down to this end and
Right.
show you the luxury ones that have the
Right, you're
beautiful.
qualifying them just like we qualify them.
Yes,
right?
100%.
Like why are they getting images? Why are they important? What's their highest value in them? And yeah.
But you're also, they don't know. And that's the difference is, well, it's not the difference because tire customers don't know either, but the portrait client, whether it's regular portraits or branding, but especially in branding, you're creating a need they don't know they have. And, when somebody calls me and says, like, all the time in the groups, there's like, they just said they need a headshot. How am I going to do more? Well, guess what? At least half the people that call me for a headshot end up in branding, more than that probably. And it's because they don't know what they need until I show them what they need. So, the questions I ask are pointed to, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they're like, oh crap, I don't have any of that,
Well,
So
it goes back to the Coke and Pepsi commercial, right?
exactly.
Right. And the reason people ask us how much does it cost is they don't know what else to ask.
Right.
Right. So
Yes.
that's why they lead with, hi, I need a headshot. How much do you charge?
Right.
You don't know what else to ask.
Right.
So what type of questions do you ask to get them to realize that they are going to likely need more? What are you asking to bring that information out of them?
So I have a whole list. Let's see if I can go without my list, because I usually write it down. Oh wait, my list is probably really close by. Is it? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's see, off the top of my head. It is not close by, but let's see. No. So the questions are going to be, who's your demographic? Do you specialize in any specific thing? Do you have a website? Do you use Facebook business? Do you use Instagram business? Do you use YouTube business? What else is there? Colors. Do you have brand colors? Do you have, well, I'll put it to you this way. My new class has, this is going to be, if y'all know what a lead magnet is, this will be a lead magnet, is how do you plan for your social media, or how do you plan for your personal branding shoot? And this is an entire guide full of those questions. So you guys can go when I launch, which will probably be, I'll be looking for beta testers. So once my marketing is done, if you guys want to beta test it, it'll be a lot less expensive for the beta testers, but you'll come in, this will be the lead magnet, is the branding photo shoot guide, which is all the questions I ask. And guess what? It's something that they need to use. And it's something I use for myself to use back, it's such a beautiful thing. Cause like, I just sent it to one of my clients, and I send it out when I send their contract out and their invoice, it all goes out together. And my shoot next week, she just reached out and she's like, crap, I can't find that guide. Can you please resend it? And I'm like, I absolutely can. Because the better you plan for your session, the better it's going to be.
Exactly. So that pretty much is going to end up wrapping everything up for us. We do have the awards and accreditations in about 15 minutes. Before we head off, Tammy, if you can let us know where people can find you online, anywhere that important links, information that you want to exit.
The website's the best place. Yeah. So it looks like Angie put that in there already. So
I'll drop it again right now.
Thank you. Yeah. So my website is the best place, or you can email me up at that email address right there. If you can't see it, it's tammy@zphotog.net. And you all know what a photog is. So important thing when you pick your business name is make it not have all the same letters. That's not Z, P, H, and T, and G all sound the same. Did not know that when I set it up. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Tammy, for joining us
We
today.
It's my
appreciate you.
pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
And-
It's
and
good to
just-
see you all.
And for everyone, just you can find us from here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll be interviewing Ashley Taylor. So we'll see you then in about 15 minutes. Tune in for the awards. All right, folks.